So let's start with the introduction. So the journey started with when I first started my university life far from home. I used to spend money in a not really good way. I sometimes used all of my money and wonder where did it go at the end of the month. And sometimes I wonder why I cannot save a penny each month. But after learning and having many trials and errors, I have found a good way that has helped me in spending money more wisely and enabled me to start the saving habit. So the presentation today will also focus on managing expenses and saving money as well. And if you look at the slide, there is a quote, saving money is about spending money well, which was extracted from a Gable book. And for your information, the methods that I use were also influenced by the book itself and also other ways that I've learned from others. So the quote here simply means when we focus too much on what we cannot spend, saving might sound like a chore and might make us dislike the idea of saving. So instead, we can shift the focus on spending money, but spending it well. And now let's get started. Um, Next slide, please, Mark. So the first step in our financial management is to list our income. So I usually prepare my budget monthly because I only have monthly income as well, so it will be easier. And the income here can refer to many things. It can be salary if we are working, or it can be allowance from parents, and it can be a scholarship fund as well. And regardless of what they are, we just have to list them all to see how much we have for this month to start with. And for the next step, um, next, next slide, please, Mom. So the next step is to distribute those budgets first before spending them. There are many ways for this, but what I used in my personal management was the 60-20-20 budget rule. So this rule simply means we allocate 60% of our income for needs or necessities, 20% for wanted things, and another 20% for savings. Distributing our budget first can help ensure we won't spend all of our money and forget important payments. If we look into the next slide, the needs can refer to our primary or fixed expenses, which could include housing, food, bills, or transportation. For the ones, it refers to something that we desire but not that necessary for our daily life. It can include entertainment activities like shopping, dining out, or movies. And it is recommended that if we manage to left some money from this part, we can actually add it to the saving sectors. But I personally keep it for the one sector next month because I usually spend more on the one part, so I cannot allocate it to the saving. So for the last part, which is in the next slide, is about savings. Um, so saving here refers to the money that we allocate for emergencies or goals for purchasing anything big, or in some resources, we can actually use that money for investment as well. But for me personally, I just save it for any emergencies like health issues or any unforeseen incidents that might require money. So before spending, we basically set the saving aside, pretend like it doesn't exist, and only spend the other 80%. And moving on to the next slide, which is the exciting part about our journey, is about spending the money. But while spending that money, we should make an expense list. We can make a list of what we spend that money on, whether it is snacks, drinks, or clothes as we go along, to monitor our spending and to see how much we spend on each thing. And last but not least, moving on to the next slide, the last step of our tips today is to review our spending. So we can make a total of a week's expense or a month's expense. When I first started this, I only made a monthly review, but recently I found adding weekly reviews is really helpful. I can check my spending weekly and take some action towards my unnecessary spending before it's too late to deal with at the end of the month. So at this review stage, we basically check whether we have successfully spent according to our goal or not. And it also gives us the opportunity to identify the areas we wasted our money on so that we can find ways to reduce that waste. For instance, if we spend too much money on shopping, we can find ways to deal with that. So for me personally, I usually use the 30-day saving rule before buying anything quite expensive and to ask myself whether I really need those things. So the 30 days rule simply means we wait for 30 days before deciding to buy stuff. Some stuff can be really intriguing from the moment we see it, but after a while we might lose interest and find that we don't really need it. So waiting for a while to buy something can help us save money when we no longer want that stuff, or give us some more time to save for the thing we want. And there are also other ways, including switching to homemade food and watching movies at home instead of cinemas if needed. And the last thing that we can do in the reviewing stage is to see whether there are any changes we need to make. So we personally don't fit into a certain rule. Our different lifestyle or condition might require changes in our plans. For instance, um, when I first started, I actually saved 20% of my income, but after a few months, I decided to lower it into only 15% since I need a little bit more money toward the wanted part. So, after dealing with the all month review, we basically can start planning and start the first step back again for our new month budget. So, in conclusion, the idea is quite simple. At the beginning of each month, we sit down and think mindfully about how much we would like to save and what can we do to achieve it. And just like any other goals or experiments in life, we can face many failures. Although I can achieve my spending goal and save some money in some months, there are actually months that I have to take some of my savings to survive. But still, we should remember that we all get the opportunity to learn and improve every month. And I hope today's presentation can help you even a bit in managing personal finance. I'm still learning too, so if there's any suggestions or alternative ways, let's share it together here. And if there are any questions, I would also welcome it as well. And that is all from me today. Thank you so much for listening.